All right, we're here, everybody. We're here.
We're okay. We're all right. We're all right. We're all right. I'm sitting there. I ran outside real quick. I just forgot something on my car. I had to run out there real quick. I just got back up. A little winded because I had to go on supersonic speed.
The stairs of death.
The stairs of death. and I realized that I bust out of the room. I start going down the stairs. I tell Ron that I'm going down the stairs of death. All dramatic. And then all of a sudden, Misty comes around the corner. She's like, is everything okay? And so I'm going out to my car. I'm like, what do they think about every time I come into the studio? Like all the dramatic episodes of things we have.
I don't know.
Do you guys be like, oh shit, he's going to be here in about 20 minutes?
Everybody get ready.
Do you?
No.
Do you really?
No, dude.
You do.
I start getting a little edgy about 4 o'clock.
Oh, you mean excited?
Yeah. Just kind of in my mind, kind of shifting from work to play.
No. Yeah, like here comes some drama.
Yeah.
Really? You do think that?
What?
Like you had to start mentally preparing for my presence at 4 o'clock?
Not your presence, dude. The show.
Oh. I'll know Ron really appreciates it when I show up is when I open that door and music starts playing.
That's right. Rocky's here.
Oh my God, dude. I'm not.
All right, come on in, everybody. Here we go.
How much time we got?
20 seconds.
Medical supply 24 hours a day. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. Call right now. 800-597-9323.
Journey into the matrix of the mind. Stretch your imagination and challenge reality. Abnormal realities are beacons for the imagination. What society deems abnormal may be more real than we think. This is Abnormal Realities with your hosts, Ron Phillips and
Rocky Stucci. All right, I ain't gonna lie. I had a big old fire out. Oh, wait a minute. Oh. And here we are right here on this Thursday
Forgot
edition.
to point at you.
Yeah, not gonna. That I depend on that now, right? I depend on that.
What, the point?
The point.
It's not like you don't get a music cue to start.
I need
like
the
you did
Filipino
tonight.
cue. I did start.
No,
like
you did start tonight on the music cue. Good job.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show, everybody.
I told Ron today I'm a little crabby. He goes, well, why are you crabby? I says, because it took me 3 hours to put 60 seconds together for you, bro.
And you guys are going to get to hear it during the break. His first 60-second Insane Custom Tumblers commercial. And it's awesome. It is. It's good.
My vision was way different, but I was stressed. I was under pressure. I told Ron I don't have something for him today. Actually, 2 of them, but I got 1 of them to him.
He did.
All right, I think we're going to go deep in the rabbit hole tonight.
Yeah, we're going deep.
Going deep.
Going
Odyssey
deep
Radio.
in the rabbit hole. Tonight, guys.
OdysseyRadio.com.
We are honored to have author Micah Dank with us tonight. He talks about his new series, Into the Rabbit Hole, and the first book, Into the Veil, which is compared to Dan Brown's Davinci Code.
Yeah.
Micah explores astrology and the hidden codes in the Bible and how it relates to what is real and what is possible related to politics, conspiracy, fringe medicine, history, language, and what it means to survive in these times. Oh. Plus a lot of other things we're going to get to. I think he's got some on-screen stuff we're going to talk about tonight, but let's go ahead and bring him in. Well, let's see. He's a little bit busy right now, so we'll bring him in here in a second. Micah, are you ready to come in, bud?
Yeah, I'm ready. Sorry, I was just switching venues.
There you go. It's way dark there, buddy. So
it's right. It's adding to the ambiance. It's just adding to it.
Yeah.
Man, brother, thank you so much for coming on the program. It's always really cool when we have some of the guests come on. We have them come on early to just do sound and checks and all that other stuff. And so you're allotted a little bit of time to be able to talk with the guests. And it's cool because you get to know them and you also kind of get some ideas on things to talk about throughout the show. And it kind of gets you all hopped up about some subjects. So it allows you to jump right in. And we asked them, we said, hey, certain things you want to talk about, or do you want to just, he says, nope.
He's like, we'll be lucky if we get through half of my presentation.
Yep. He said, sit back and go for the ride, brother. So, and that's what we're going to do. So, brother, let us know about what you're doing, your work, all the projects you have going on, and man, let's rock and roll.
All right. So I'm an author. I talk about the best way I can describe my book series. I have 6 out so far. It's going to be 8 total. The other 2 are with the book publisher. They're going to come out probably, both of them will be, the whole series will be out by the end of the summer. I have 6 current right now. My first book was split into 2 and turned into a screenplay. And my publicist is currently pitching it to TV producers.
Good for
Nice.
you, brother. Good for you.
Thanks. We're trying to get that out there. I also have a kids book called A is for Aries, where you can teach kids the introductions, baby steps to what I'm going to teach you tonight, which is really mind-blowing stuff. 90% of everything I'm showing you is my own work. With, you got to give out roses sometimes to other people who have helped out, like
Sure.
Santos Bonacci and Jordan Maxwell. Rest in peace, Jordan. But that's basically what I do. What I do is I take ancient holy texts, okay? And that's just not just the Bible, but like the Quran, the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Enuma Elish, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Code of Hammurabi, Book of Mormon, all these books that I've gone through, and you decode it with astrology because they are, in fact, encoded astrological books.
Is that what's considered astrotheology?
The astrotheology. Okay, so astrotheology is basically the planets. I'm not the planets. I'm sorry. It's the zodiac. It's the mythology behind the zodiac. Okay.
Okay.
And basically, there's keywords that each sign has. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you those keywords, and then we're just going to use those particular keywords to decode things. Then I'm going to show you patterns and all sorts of stuff.
All right. Now, just
Pretty mind-blowing stuff.
just out of curiosity, when you're going through and you're looking comparing astrology to all the individual beliefs throughout the world, is there a overall correlation possibly that they're all kind of just one part of one big beehive?
So no, what I use is something called tropical astrology.
Okay.
Which basically, now you have something called Vedic
Yep.
and sidereal astrology, which is the same thing. Vedic and sidereal, it's the same thing. That's when you add the 13th sign, Ophiuchus, and then everything kind of just changes. But the Bible was encoded, and all these hidden texts were encoded with tropical astrology. Okay, this has nothing to do with Chinese astrology or anything from the East. This is all Western stuff. Why? Because the 3 major religions spawned in the Northern Hemisphere, number 1, and number 2, in the West. Okay, so the science that they used, that's what they used at the time. What I'm going to teach you tonight, the actual, when you're in the South, the opposite applies. Okay, so when I teach you stuff like, for example, June 21st is the summer solstice. It's the longest day of the year. Okay, but in Australia, that's their winter solstice. Okay, because they're on the other side. So it's dead of winter for them, but it's the dead of summer for us. So everything is reversed. Okay. But the way that the Bible was encoded, it was encoded with Northern astrology. And the Northern astrology was called astrotheology, and it was called tropical astrology. This will all make some sense to you guys. I promise.
Come on, brother, take us in.
Yeah, we're ready to go. We got 17 minutes before the bottom of the hour break.
So where do we even start? Where do we even start with something like this at such a scope? Where is a good starting point?
I'm going to show you.
All right.
I'm going to show you guys in 1 second. Hold on. For some reason, this is taking a minute.
So you've got a presentation that you're going to share with us tonight, right?
Yeah, he does.
Yes, I do. Now, can you guys see this right now?
Yeah, we sure can.
Okay. Can you still see me?
Yeah, no, sir.
But you can see the presentation.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so we'll work with that. I know I'm using a platform I'm not familiar with, to be honest with you guys. Usually I do Zoom shows or I do like Vimeo or something like that. I'm not familiar with this one, but that's fine. So you want me to just start?
Yes, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I start by saying, employ your time in improving yourself by other men's writings, so that you shall come easily by what others have labored hard for. That was Socrates. And that's basically what this is. I've studied the Bible for 30 years. I've studied the esoteric and the occult for 20, and I've studied astrotheology for 10. And what I've done is I've put together a presentation that basically summarizes it very, very loosely. It's just a good introduction to it. Okay. Now, when we're talking about the Bible, you have to understand is that the Bible is made up of what's known as the 7 sciences. Okay. They're not going to teach you this in school. They're not going to teach you this in religion. The 7 sciences are metaphysical, astrological, which we're going to get very familiar with tonight, anatomical, alchemical, spiritual, esoteric, and mythology. Believe it or not, the Bible is not literal, it's not historical, it's not reality, it's not even original. Okay, and we're going to get into all that.
Okay.
But what I wanted to impose on you guys is that it is made up of these 7 sciences. I'm only giving you one piece of the puzzle. Okay. The Bible is so much more than that. This is the zodiac. Okay. Capricorn at the bottom, Cancer on top. This is how the zodiac wheel should look. Should you see a variation of it, it's not accurate. Well, it is accurate. It's just not correct. Okay. This is how the zodiac wheel looks. Because at the very top of Cancer, that's the summer. At the very bottom of Sagittarius, Capricorn, that is the winter. Okay. So this goes back to the Lascaux Caves, which is 40,000 years ago. Here you can see an article here saying world's oldest cave paintings showed human understood complex astronomy 40,000 years ago. The Lascaux Caves are called the Lascaux Caves because they're in Lascaux, France. That's why they're called the Lascaux Caves. It's not creative or anything. They had some teenagers that went into the caves, and they went all the way into the back of the caves. When they went into the back of the caves, they saw this as an example.
Oh.
Now, on the top left, you see the bull. On the right, you see the many faces of the lion. And on the bottom, you see the horse. Now, in astrology, if you know anything about it, the bull is Taurus, the lion is Leo, the horse is Sagittarius. It's just missing the guy with the bow and the arrow. They did something very interesting. They carbon dated the wall. Now, for young Earth creationists who say that carbon dating is inaccurate, they're actually half right about that. They're true. It's true. Carbon dating is inaccurate. Carbon-14 dating is accurate up to 50,000 years. But anything beyond that, then you have to start to go into uranium datings. There's other levels of carbon dating that you have to use. But carbon-14 dating is only accurate up to 50,000 years. So this placed it at 40,000 years, these drawings. What they then did was they brought in an astronomer and an astrologer with a computer, because we have the technology to do this now. And what they did was they rewound the sky back 40,000 years to see what it looked like. Then what they did was they printed out what they found. And when they superimposed it onto this cave wall, all the constellations lined up.
Wow.
The bull was where Taurus was. The lion was where Leo was. Exactly. So we've known about astrology for 40,000 years. It is the oldest science. It is the best science. And it is the first science, I should say, not the best. It's the oldest and the first.
Damn.
There's questions you can ask in the Bible. How Jesus was able to heal the blind, how he walked on water, how he turned water into wine, why he had 12 disciples, why he was betrayed with a kiss by Judas, why he was dead for 3 days, why is his birthday on December 25th. All this is astrology, and I'm going to explain it to you, I promise.
Okay.
But this is all based on astrology. This topic called astrotheology that I'm teaching you. Genesis 1:14 says, "Let lights appear in the sky to separate the day from the night. Let them be signs to mark the seasons, days, and years." And that's what it is. The sun and the moon separate the day and the night. The stars, or the constellations and the zodiac, separates the seasons, days, and years. And that's what it is. You'll come to find that as I show you how this is actually decoded, you'll find that the Bible is more like a farmer's almanac than anything. Now, what I have to do is, if it's okay with you guys, I want to go through the 12 signs because I have to teach you about them. And I have to give you key words that make sense for each sign that we're then going to use to decode things.
Okay.
Take it away, brother. It's all you.
The first sign I talk about is the sign Aquarius, which is represented by the man with the water pitcher. Okay? It goes back to Zeus and Aquarius. That's where the story goes back to. So, long story short, Zeus saw a 14-year-old blonde boy on Earth that he wanted in heaven. This is the Greek mythology. This is where Aquarius comes from. He wanted the boy in heaven, but the father wouldn't give it to him. So after long bartering, the kid didn't want to go up. The father didn't want to give it to him, but eventually he bartered with the father and gave him a bunch of money and land and all this, made him powerful, and then he let the kid come up. When the kid came up, he started feeding the gods out of this water pitcher with something called ambrosia, which is the nectar of the gods. It's what the Greek gods drank. Okay, nowadays it's just some crappy tangerine whipped cream cherry salad. That's what they call ambrosia now. But ambrosia was actually the nectar of the gods. So this 14-year-old boy is serving them this. One day he gets fed up and he goes to the side of heaven, and just like in this picture, he takes the pitcher and he pours it out, and it caused the flood on earth. That's where the Greeks get their flood story from. Everyone has a flood story. Okay? So he floods the earth. Zeus gets mad at him, and he was going to punish him, but in a moment of self-reflection, he decided, you know what? I kind of tricked the kid to come up here, and he just self-reflected. He realized, I'm not going to punish him. He immortalized him. He made him the constellation Aquarius. So it's a man with a water pitcher pouring the water out. So whenever you hear the word son of man, because this is a sign of the man, whereas Virgo is the sign of the woman. Man, baptism, because this is literally how you baptize someone, a man with a water pitcher pouring water out. Water pitcher, fountain, stream, river, pond, lake, creek, ocean, sea. Water bodies, they're talking about Aquarius. Now, stream, river, pond, lake, sea, all that stuff applies for Pisces too. Pisces is actually the mutable water sign. It's the two fish in the water. Okay? So the first two signs refer to water, and you have to figure out which sign they're talking about, which we'll get into. But the third sign is Aries, which is the ram. And in Aries, you have March 21st, which is the spring equinox. It's the 12-hour day and it's 12-hour night. In astrotheology, it's the Passover, or the passing over of the sun over the equator and back on its way to its height in the summer solstice. In Christianity, the passing over is changed, and it's called the resurrection of God's son. See, astrotheology, basically, the purpose of astrotheology is to prove that Jesus didn't exist. He's a sun deity. He's a solar deity from the age of Pisces. Okay, so when you're saying God's son, you don't mean his son. You mean the sun in the sky. It's just a play on words. Now, in Judaism, the Passover is when the angel of death passes over the houses in Egypt, and anyone that doesn't have the lamb or the ram, Aries the ram, that doesn't have the lamb's blood smeared on their doorpost, as the Jews are the people of Aries, their firstborn sons get killed. So it's three different meanings for the same thing. So whenever you hear ram, lamb, shepherd, or ram's horn, you're talking about Aries. Taurus is the bull, and it's as above, so below. You guys have heard that phrase before, right?
Yep.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
When you look at the sky and you see Taurus, you see the bull, you know that you need to put the plow on the bull on Earth so you can plant the seed so you can harvest in Virgo and Libra. Okay? So basically, you look at the sky, you see the bull, you got to put the plow on the bull. Now remember, this was written thousands of years ago, the Bible. Okay? They didn't have modern machinery that we use to plow nowadays. They had to physically use the bull.
Yep.
So that's why Taurus is the bull, because you see the bull, that's when you have to plant. So whenever you hear bull, ox, calf, or cow being the female bull, you're talking about Taurus.
Okay.
Then Gemini is the twins. It's the story of Castor and Pollux Troy, whose sister was Helen of Troy. It's the story of Achilles. It's another Greek story. Mm-hmm. So whenever you're talking about twins or brothers, you're talking about Gemini. Then Cancer is the crab. And the crab walks sideways. And this is important because just what happens is starting on December 25th, the sun will rise a degree. Then on December 26th, it'll rise an additional degree. And then the 27th, an additional degree. Every day it continues to add an additional degree. The days get longer, the nights get shorter. When it hits June 21st, that's its peak. That's the summer solstice. It doesn't rise higher anymore. Okay, that's its height. What it does is at the 21st, it walks sideways. It stays at that height for 3 days, just like the crab. And then on June 25th, it drops a degree. And then the next day, it drops another degree. And then it continues to. Now the days are getting shorter. The nights are getting longer. It stops on December 21st, which is the winter solstice, walks sideways for 3 days again, and then raises a degree December 25th. Okay? So the crab in the ancient Egyptian times was known as the scarab. So whenever you hear crab or beetle, they're talking about Cancer. Then Leo is the king. He's the lion. He's the king of the jungle. The ruling planet of Leo is actually the sun. So whenever you hear lion, lioness, or cub, you're talking about Leo. Virgo. Virgo is the virgin holding the wheat stalk, as shown in this picture. So remember before when I said you plant in Taurus, you see the bull, you plant in Taurus?
Yep.
Well, the virgins would cultivate the wheat in Virgo in order to make the bread for the year.
Oh.
So whenever you hear virgin, woman, girl, as the female sign is Virgo, whereas the male sign is Aquarius. Wheat, grain, seed, barley, corn, grainy things that you cultivate, things that you harvest. Okay, and you could literally go on any search engine you want and find out that these are all harvested around the same time. It's in Virgo. It's in August, September. So whenever you hear virgin, or any of the grainy stuff they're talking about Virgo.
All right.
Then Libra is, you guys good?
Yo, dude, keep going, brother.
Then Libra is the justice. It's the scales, it's the balance, it's the just one. The reason it's the justice is because it judges God's sun as it passes over the fall equinox and begins its descent into winter, into cold, into death. Okay? Libra is also wine season, which is when you plant for the grapes in Taurus, you can press the wine here. Libra is also olive oil season. You press the olives in Libra to get the oil. Okay? Talk to any Italian. They know that's when they do this. With the vineyard thing, you have these girls that go to the vineyards for bachelorette parties in the spring, but it's stupid to do that. Why would you do that? Because you go there and the vines are all bare. It's empty because they're not growing yet. Go in Libra. Go in September, October, okay? You can literally walk down these vines and pick the grapes off and eat them. That's when you go to bachelorette parties. That's when you go to have parties at the vineyards. So we have justice, judgment, law, judge, justice, the just one, divorce, marriage, court, lawly things. All lawly things are Libra. All wine or grape-related things are Libra. All olives or oil-related things are Libra. Incidentally, frankincense and myrrh are both olive plants as well. So Scorpio is the scorpion, and he is known as the betrayer. Because when a scorpion bites you, it leaves an imprint in your skin that looks like a pair of lips. It's why the mafia has the kiss of death. That's where they get that metaphor from. And it's why Jesus was betrayed by Judas with a kiss. There's 12 disciples. Each one of the disciples represents one of the zodiac signs. Okay? Judas is the betrayer. That's why he betrayed him with a kiss. He could have stoned him. He could have hugged him. He could have pointed at him. There's a million ways you could have identified someone, but they specifically wrote it with a kiss because he represents the season of Scorpio. So the sun is judged in Libra, right?
Yep. And
then it's betrayed in Scorpio. Finally, in Sagittarius, this is where the bow and the arrow shoot the sun and inflict further punishment on the sun. Okay? Why? Because on December 21st, the sun is at its lowest point. It cannot rise any lower. It's dead. The ancients would look at the sun, and they would see that it didn't crack the horizon on December 21st from where they were located in the Middle East. And they would say the sun is dead. Then it walks sideways for 3 days again, right? It doesn't rise. It doesn't drop. So they said God's sun was dead for 3 days. That's why all the gods are dead for 3 days. When on December 25th, or the birth of all the ancient gods, December 25th, that's the day that the sun starts to rise and starts its climb back up to its height. Okay, these are all deeply encoded celestial metaphors, but I promise we'll get better with them. Okay. So whenever you hear horse, bow and arrow, spear, or horseman, you're talking about Sagittarius. Finally, in Capricorn is the goat because he likes to climb the mountain. So if you look at the zodiac wheel on the right, I told you this is an appropriate zodiac wheel with Capricorn at the bottom and Cancer on the top. You imagine the sun climbing a degree a day alongside this wheel on its way back to its height in Cancer. It starts to climb in Capricorn. That's where it starts to climb up the mountain. It's a metaphor. Just like the mountain goats. You ever see a mountain goat climb up a mountain before? How they do it on like a 2-inch ledge? Yep. So that's basically it. So these are the 12 signs. I've given you the key words. We're gonna nail this in. I promise. So do you guys have any questions just before I continue?
No, dude, you are at literally perfect timing. Like you have a clock in front of you because we have 2 minutes left before we have to go out to the bottom of the hour.
Yeah.
And dude, I'm going to tell you right now, I have to go back and watch that segment probably 5 times just to let everything, literally what you just covered going. This is the first time I've actually felt the entirety of a concept of what he just explained when it comes to like Capricorn, Libra, Sagittarius. And why people dialed that in and survival. But it's so weird how all of it comes together with what perceived to be realities in our existence on this planet.
Sure. Micah, hang with us for a second. We're going to be taking a break in about a minute, and then we'll be coming right back at you. If you want to switch back to the cam, that's okay, but you don't have to. We'll come right back.
I'll leave it here.
All right. We'll come right back to you as soon as we get back from the break. Stay with us. Holy crap.
Dude.
I mean, there's a whole lot of knowledge there just in the few words he said so far that I had no idea about, because it's all metaphorical, right? And that's the thing, is that you always just heard of astrology.
Right.
I mean,
But the deeper you go, it just, for some people in a frightening way, it challenges everything
it
about
does
our
challenge.
life.
It does challenge, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who, may become concerned with it.
Ron at OdysseyRadio.com. Ron
Just
at OdysseyRadio.com.
keep an open mind, folks. All we're doing is learning. Stop touching me,
Don't
dude.
touch me.
OdysseyRadio.com is where you can
Don't.
find the radio station information. AbnormalRealities.com is where you can find us. And then, of course, we link out to all the stuff that we do on the web. But coming up next, we're debuting 2 new commercials for you. So bear with us. We'll be right back. At Romika Designs, we're more than just a laser engraving and specialty design company. Much more. I'm Ron Phillips, co-owner of Romika Designs, and if you can dream it, we can probably make it. We can custom laser cut and engrave on nearly all material. Great for one-of-a-kind gifts, home decor, business and specialty items, or personalized and logo designs created just for you or your company. Allow us to become your go-to gift and specialty project partner. Romika Designs can help make your ideas a reality. We're ready to help you design and create that special gift for any occasion or engrave your personal or business logo on just about any product. View our designs at romikadesigns.com or simply email us with your ideas. We specialize in custom design and we'd be honored to have the opportunity to discuss it with you. Call us at 817-400-4040, email info@romikadesigns.com, or visit us on the web at romikadesigns.com.
Do you have fewer than 3 bowel movements a week? Are your stools dry, hard, and or lumpy? Your stools are difficult or painful to pass? Do you have stomach aches and maybe stomach cramps? Do you feel bloated and nauseous? Do you feel that you haven't completely emptied your bowels after a movement?
Well, if that's the case, then the chances are pretty good you are dehydrated. So what you need to do is go to www.insanecustomtumblers.com. We have hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of images that you can purchase for your personalized tumbler today. If you're looking for a custom design, we can help you with that. Insane Custom Tumblers is the one-stop shop for you. Once again, go to insanecustomtumblers.com. Again, that is insanecustomtumblers.com. Use code INSANE20 for a 20% discount today. InsaneCustomTumblers.com. Hoop well, my friends. Hoop well.
Welcome back to Abnormal Realities, folks. I'm Ron Phillips. That's Rocky Stucci. Why are you crying?
Dude, you just touched my soul. You just touched my soul. I didn't
Well,
know
but
you
now-
put video together with that.
Now everybody knows that if they're backed up, they need to hydrate, and they need to use an
Do you
insane
have
custom
chronic pain in your stomach? Do you poop, but it just don't all come out? You don't feel satisfied. Well, I'll tell you what
good
you need, a
Lord.
tumbler, right? That's what you need. But hey, we don't have. Let's just get right back, man, because I have a feeling that we have 25 minutes. And
Yeah. All right, Mike. Our guest today is Micah Dank. He's right in the middle of his presentation. Micah, we're back with you. Go ahead, brother.
Okay. All right. So now there's names that are given to Jesus in church, okay, that are astrologically based, but people don't know anything about.
Come on.
Okay. Well, all his nicknames are astrology. I'm going to show you that right now. Capricorn is the goat. When the sun, Jesus this being the solar deity, when the sun is in Capricorn, he's called the scapegoat of Israel. When the sun is in Aquarius, he's called the Son of Man. When the sun is in Pisces, the 2 fish, he's called the fisherman of men. And that's also why he could feed the masses with 2 fish. When the sun is in Aries, the ram, he's known as the Lamb of God or the Good Shepherd. When the sun is in Leo, the lion, he's known as the Lion of Judah. When the lady holding the wheat stalk, Virgo, he's born of a virgin and he's called the bread of life. Libra is the scales of justice. He's called the just one. Then he's betrayed in Scorpio. He dies in Sagittarius on December 21st, and it's also why he's worshipped on the sun day. The sun day, because he's the sun. Now I'm going to drag your attention to the picture on the left. This is a stereotypical picture that I found of him on the internet. I'm going to draw you to a couple things. You're going to have the sun behind his head. You're going to have the two fingers up the way that they are. The heart outside the body, the crown of thorns outside of the body, his white face that we see, just the same face, and the white and the red robe. So the sun is always behind Jesus because he represents the sun. Any picture you find of Jesus, the sun will always be behind his head. It's a metaphor. They're telling you this. You just don't know what you're looking at. The two fingers up are an ancient Kemetic peace sign. Okay, that's an ancient Egyptian peace sign. The John Lennon V for victory, the John Lennon peace sign, that's V for victory. That's the Churchill. That's the British war sign. When you make the V with your fingers like a peace sign, that's actually a war sign. The two fingers together are like this. So whenever you see statues of Baphomet or Buddha or Jesus or whoever doing this, they're telling you they're peaceful. Now the white Jesus, his face, the picture is actually a guy named Caesar Borgia, who was actually the bastard son of Pope Alexander VI, Rodrigo Borgia. Before then, there was no picture of him, and it was decided his picture would be the face of. Because what happened was Rodrigo Borgia, who's part of the Illuminati, not the Illuminati, the 13 ruling families, the Borgia family, he bought his way to the papacy. And what he did was 80 years before he was brought to the papacy, the printing press came out. And before then, there was no picture of Jesus before. So he made his son the picture of Jesus. And Caesar Borgia was a bastard. He was a terrible person. He literally was Hamlet. He literally killed his brother. He slept with his sister. He was just a hot mess. Now, popes used to have kids. Okay, popes used to actually have children, but they were never married. So they were all bastards. But his face would be the face of. Now, the crown of thorns wrapped around the heart on the outside, and the heart's always outside the body, represents the rays of the sun. The heart outside the body represents the human toroidal field, or the Taurus field. Now, I told you before when we started this, the Bible is made up of 7 sciences. I'm not going to go into this deeply, but the white and the red robe that he's wearing is called the alchemical marriage. Okay, that's alchemy. Okay, it's the white queen and the red king coming together. It's sulfur and mercury. It's all alchemy. But I'm not going to get into that before. I just wanted to show you that. But look, pictures of Jesus right here, just a few that I picked up. The sun is always behind his head. The heart's always outside the body. The fingers are always up. In the second picture, you'll see that the Knights Templar cross is in the sun, but the sun is always there. They're always showing him with the sun. Okay? Mm-hmm. Pictures of baby Jesus. Look at this. The sun is always behind his head. He's the sun. When they show you Polaris, always in the picture too, okay, the North Star, and they show you the animals, okay, which we'll get into that later too, okay. Now this is the human toroidal field. It's an electromagnetic field of the heart. This is what it looks like, okay. If you've ever heard of a torus field before, it looks like an apple, basically, with you being at the core, and it radiates around you 6 feet. Okay, so it has a 6 feet range around you. That's why the elites during this pandemic, the ones who really run things, kept you 6 feet apart because they didn't want you in touch with anything. When you're interacting with another person's toroidal field, it looks like this. Okay, so whenever someone comes up behind you, you always know they're there. You're not psychic. You know, when you get that inkling that someone's there, it's because they cracked your toroidal field. Now, the guy on the left is a drawing of Jesus. The guy on the right is a very early rendition of Caesar Borgia. Now, it's not an identical match, but you can see where they get the features from. For Jesus. Wow. Yeah. This is the guy on the right. Yes, this is Caesar Borgia. He is the face of Jesus. Okay? That's what he is. Now, let's start going into some decodings because I think that's what we came here for. You guys heard of the phrase pride comes before the fall?
Yep.
Yes.
Can one of you guys explain it to your listeners how you take it to mean or what the religious people take it as?
Rocky, you're up.
No. I'm afraid to answer.
You go ahead, Micah.
So does it sound like it makes sense where people say, you know, if you get too boastful, you get too prideful, You're setting yourself up for the downfall?
Yeah, setting yourself up for failure just because you think you're better than everybody or your pride, you're wearing it on your shirt.
Exactly. Pride comes before the fall. And lots of preachers use this. Lots of people use this, right? So that's how they read it literally, okay? But do you know what a group of lions is called?
Pride. Yeah.
Exactly. A group of lions is called a pride. Pride is the lion. Lion is Leo. Leo is in July and August. That comes before the season of the fall. So it's a double entendre. It's a double meaning. So you guys understand that.
Wow.
You guys see that.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's basically how that works. Okay. Now the next one, I forgot to mention, each one of these zodiac signs is called a house. So this is the house of Leo, the house of Virgo, the house of Libra, whatever
Okay.
they are, whatever your sign is, they're known as houses. Sometimes they're metaphors in the Bible. Sometimes they're called mansions. Sometimes they're called rooms. They're called eons, eras. Basically, that's what they're basically called. So they're called houses. Micah 5:2, which is my namesake. But you, Bethlehem Ephratah, though you are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come for me one who will be ruler over Israel, whose origins are from ancient times. However, Bethlehem is a combination of two words in Hebrew. Bet, which means house, and lechem, which means bread. So the house of bread. I just mentioned to you that Virgo is the lady with the wheat stalk. That's the house of bread. So when he's saying that the Savior is going to come from Bethlehem, it's an encoded astrotheological way of saying that the Savior will come from a virgin. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So now I'm going to give you a bigger one. This is Deuteronomy 32. Okay. It's actually 10 signs in this one passage, but let's go through it. Deuteronomy 32. He gave them honey from the cliffs and olive oil from the rocky ground. He gave his people butter from the herd and milk from the flock. He gave them lambs and goats. They had the best rams from Bashan and the finest wheat. They drank the best wine made from the juice of red grapes. But Jeshurun became fat and kicked like a bull. Just based off of what I taught you guys, even if you didn't pick them all out, you can pick some of them out, right?
Mm-hmm. Grapes,
so let's
wine,
go over
bull, goats, lambs, olive oil, oils.
Yeah. See, I bolded it so that you could see it, but there's two I didn't go over. So he gave them honey from the cliffs. In the sign Cancer, you remember the crab that walks sideways?
Yes.
Because the sun walks sideways June 21st in the summer solstice. Honey from the cliffs. There's a group of stars in Cancer called the Beehive Cluster. So that's where the honey comes from. It's just a metaphor. These are all celestial metaphors. Now, the milk from the flock would come from the Milky Way galaxy. And the Milky Way galaxy has been called the Milky Way galaxy as far back as the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and I believe even further back. I've literally seen it in the Book of the Dead because I've read it. The Milky Way galaxy center is in Sagittarius. So your land from Cancer to Sagittarius, those 5 signs, that's your land of milk and honey. It's a celestial metaphor. It's not a place on earth. It's not a real place. Okay? These are star poetry. Okay? Olive oil. We said olive oil was Libra. Okay? He gave them lambs, that's Aries, and goats, that's Capricorn. They had the best rams, that's Aries, from Bashan, and the finest wheat, Virgo with the wheat stalk. They drank the best wine from the red grapes, that's Libra. But Jeshurun became fat and kicked like a bull, that's Taurus. You see how that works?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's move on. The Mount of Olives. Now, this is going to show you how you decode things, how you use the wheel to actually decode passages. Jesus led his disciples to the Mount of Olives after his last Passover so he could teach them a few more things, pray, then wait for Judas to betray him. While walking to the Mount of Olives, he gave the parable of the true vine. So let's break this down. Passover, okay, after the Passover. So Passover takes place in Aries. So find Aries on the wheel. It's all the way on the left. We're right after that, he walks to the Mount of Olives. Well, I told you olives are Libra. This is just basically code breaking. So it's going from Aries to Libra. You go across the zodiac. They're known as opposing signs. Okay? Now, once you're in Libra, okay, they're waiting for Judas to betray him. And I told you the betrayer was Scorpio with the bite. Okay? So it goes from Aries to Libra. You're waiting for the betrayal, which is the next sign. While you're in Libra, he gives the parable of the true vine, which talks about grapes, which talks about the vine, which happens in Libra too. Did I explain that well enough?
Yeah.
So you guys see how there's patterns, right? Not only are you going to see not only are you going to talk about signs in the zodiac wheel, but you're going to be talking about opposing signs and connecting signs. You're going to make there's going to be a lot of patterns that you're going to see.
All right.
Okay?
Yep.
Genesis 1:7. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. So the firmament is not a flat earth dome above it. It's not what it is. The firmament is the dividing lines between signs, as I show in this picture. Sometimes they're called cusps. Sometimes they're called handover dates. Whatever you want to call them, that's fine. It's a 3-day period where one sign hands off to the next. Okay. So God made the firmament and divided the waters. Okay. So here's the firmament in the middle. And these are the two waters, the waters above Aquarius and the water below Pisces. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Sure does.
Okay. So I'm just jumping around from book to book to show you it's the same patterns and everything. Revelation 4:7. The first living creature was like a lion. The second was like an ox. The third had a face like a man. The fourth was like a flying eagle. The first living creature was like a lion. That's Leo. The second was like an ox. That's Taurus. The third had a face like a man. That's Aquarius. The fourth was like a flying eagle. In astrology, the scorpion is the belly-crawling creature. It's the lowest form of life on Earth. Much like in the Garden of Eden, after the snake deceived, God took his legs away and he had to slither on his belly. It's a punishment. It's a low form of life on Earth, crawling on your belly. Its evolved form is the eagle, which is the highest flying form of life on Earth. Okay, so the eagle is Scorpio. So you have Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, and Scorpio. Those are the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac. What does that mean? There's things called fixed signs, mutable signs, and cardinal signs. Okay, mutable being the water, fixed being fixed because they're fixed in their season. Leo is right in the middle of summer. Taurus, spring. Aquarius, winter. And the Scorpio or eagle, fall. Now read this again. The first living creature was like a lion. The second was like an ox. The third had a face like a man. The fourth was like a flying eagle. Okay? Leo and the man, Aquarius, are opposing signs. There's a pattern. Taurus and Scorpio, or the eagle, are connecting signs. So again, the first living creature was like a lion. The second was like an ox. The third had a face like a man. The fourth was like a flying eagle. You have 2 opposing signs. When you connect it makes this X through the wheel. Now, do you think it's more realistic that there's going to be an actual 4-headed animal in the sky that does this, or if it's just talking about a celestial pattern?
It makes more sense that it's a celestial pattern.
So shall I continue? Yes,
please.
I think you're wrong, Ron. I think you're wrong, Ron. Go ahead, brother.
Revelation 12. A great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns on its heads. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to earth. Revelation 12. A woman clothed with the sun is the sun clothed in Virgo. It's just a metaphor. Now, if the sun is in Virgo, the moon will be at her feet. So this one, okay, if the sun is in Virgo, okay, so there's 12 signs. There's a 24-hour-a-day clock. So the sun spends 2 hours a day in each sign. Makes sense, right?
Okay.
So if the sun is in Virgo and you just follow the signs, and you just count the time. Sun in Virgo is between 4 and 6 p.m. Well, the sun is still out at that period. So it's just a metaphor. If the sun is out, the moon is at her feet, right? Because if the moon is out and the moon is up in the sky, then the sun is technically at her feet too, right? So it's just a metaphor for that. Now another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous dragon. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to earth. The constellation Draco is the dragon. Its tail goes from Aries to Sagittarius, which is 4/12 of the signs, or 1/3 of the stars out of the sky. Again, this is all just star poetry.
It's just obviously it's something I've never thought of, but as you start uncovering all of this stuff, it becomes quite apparent.
Right.
Well, one slide could be an entire show. So I mean, brother, you're drilling through this, and I'm literally, me and Ron both, we're just like locked in, and I'm trying to keep up because I can get caught in my thoughts when you cover certain things that I can completely sidetrack this conversation, and I fight through it because I'm trying to keep up with. It's a lot of information. I feel a little emotional right now, but I'm going to be all right.
That's right. We got about 9 minutes.
All right.
Micah, go ahead.
Go ahead, brother.
Matthew 10:16. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. You've heard that one, right?
Yes.
Well, the sheep is Aries, the ram. It's the baby ram. And the wolf is the constellation Lupus, which borders on Libra. Those are opposing signs. It's making another star pattern. Do you see how these metaphors work? How they're like deeply encoded, but if you understand the keys to break them down, you're able to break down these passages and make sense of them celestially?
Yes, absolutely. Didn't know that before, but yes.
So I've given examples of astrotheology in the Old Testament as well as the New Testament. I've been accused of cherry-picking verses from the Bible to prove a point. Let's take a much longer passage and see if we can decode it as well. This is from the book of Job, okay? Job was a righteous man who basically had land, money, family, animals, house. He had everything. Satan went up to God and said, the only reason he's righteous is because he has so much. So God takes the bet and tells Satan, you can do whatever you want to him, but you cannot take his life. So little by little, everything around him starts to die. He loses his house, everything. He's sitting on a rock. He still doesn't curse God out, but he asks him. He begs him to talk to him. What God does is he responds. Now, the first line is what he says. The second line is the interpretation, okay?
Okay.
Job 38:32, can you lead forth the Mazzaroth? The Mazzaroth literally means the zodiac. That's what it means. He's asking right away, do you know your zodiac? Mazzaroth over time becomes the word Mazalot, which survives in Judaism today as Mazel Tov, and you know how old that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which literally means good fortune from the stars. So what is the Lord's challenge to Job? He says, can you bind the chains of the Pleiades? Can you loosen Orion's belt? Those are obvious celestial metaphors, right there out in the open. Then he says, can you bring forth the constellation in their seasons or lead out the bear with its cubs? The constellations are the zodiac above, and the bear and its cubs are Ursa Major, the Great Bear, and Ursa Minor, part of the Big Dipper. Who can tip over the water jars of the heavens? Well, that's literally the man tipping over the water jar in the heaven. That's Aquarius. Do you hunt the prey for the lioness and satisfy the hunger for the lions? That's Leo. Who provides food for the raven? That's the constellation Corvus, which means raven and borders on Virgo. Do you watch where the doe bears her fawn? Mriga, meaning deer, is located in Orion. Who let the wild donkey go free? That's Acellus Borealis, meaning donkey, and is located in Cancer. Will the wild ox consent to serve you? That's Taurus. The wings of the ostrich flap joyfully. That's Lambda Achille or Al Thaliman, which means two ostriches in Arabic. Do you give the horse its strength? It laughs at fear, afraid of nothing. It does not shy away from the sword. The quiver rattles against its side along with the flashing spear and lance. So you have the horse with the quiver for the arrows. That's Sagittarius with the bow and the arrow. Does the eagle soar at your command and build its nest on high? That's Aquila, which is the Latin name for eagle and is a constellation a few degrees above the celestial equator. Finally, he says, and can you pull in Leviathan with a fish hook? And anyone who knows who Leviathan was from the ancient times knows Leviathan was a fish god. So that's fish, Pisces. So you see how it doesn't matter what book I go into, they're all interpreted the same way.
I'm dumbfounded, actually, because you read that whole passage and explained every one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was line for line. Psalm 104. He sends forth springs in their valleys. The wild donkeys quench their thirst. He causes the grass to grow for the cattle, and wine which makes man's heart glad, so that he may make his face glisten with oil. The high mountains are for the wild goats. He made the moon for the seasons. The sun knows its place in the settings. The young lions roar after their prey. The springs are Aquarius, the water. The wild donkeys are Acellus Borealis, which are in Cancer. That's the donkey. The cattle is Taurus, the bull. The wine is Libra. The oil is Libra. The wild goats are Capricorn. The moon for its seasons, and the sun knows its place of its setting, is openly talking about the sun and the moon. The lion roars after its prey are Leo. One more. Psalm 147. He gives to the beast its food, and to the young ravens which cry. He does not delight in the strength of the horse. He does not take pleasures in the legs of the man. He makes peace in your borders. He satisfies you with the finest of the wheat. He gives snow like wool. Ravens are the constellation Corvus. The horse is Sagittarius. The man is Aquarius. The wheat is Virgo. And the wool from sheep or Aries. Okay? Now, answers to the questions at the beginning. We'll finish this up, and then that'll be it.
Okay.
How Jesus was able to heal the blind. Well, you're talking about the son, S-O-N, of man, in the story, the metaphor, the storyline, the metaphysical storyline. Jesus licks his fingers and touches the man's eyes, and he can see. But the sun does the same thing, too. Right now, it's dark outside. We're blind. We can't see. But when the sun comes up in the morning and touches our eyes, we're given the gift of sight. Suddenly, we can see everything again. How he walked on water. Sun increased us. You ever see a sunset on a lake before? You guys ever gone fishing and seen that?
Absolutely.
So the sun walks on water, literally. Okay? And as far as Christos goes, Christ, okay? Christ in Greek is Christos, which means oil. Well, doesn't oil walk on water too? It's a double entendre.
It does. It doesn't mix. Yeah.
It's a double entendre, yeah. How he turned water into wine. This is not a parlor trick. This is not something that you do at a party. This is a process. Okay? The reason God is considered a man and Earth is considered a woman, Mother Earth, has to do with God's reign. It's the sacred fluid. The sacred fluid. In Hebrew, the word is shemen. We get the word semen from it. Okay? It's the sacred fluid. What basically happens is God's reign comes down onto Mother Earth, hits Mother Earth and impregnates her, and from her belly, grass grows, food grows, everything grows. Okay, so what happens is you have Taurus, remember the bull? April showers bring May flowers. That's when you plant the grapes, and then it rains, and 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 it keeps feeding the plants, and then it grows, and then in Libra, you pick the grapes and crush them into wine. That's how you turn water into wine. It's a process. It's an astrological process.
Okay.
Why he had 12 disciples? We went over this before. Basically, I told you each one of the disciples represents a zodiac house. I already told you that Judas was Scorpio. John the Baptist would clearly be Aquarius. And I'll just give you one more example. You have Simon Peter. Okay. Now some people's name are like Michael, and they call them Mike, or Ronald, and they call them Ron. But Simon to Peter doesn't really make sense unless you know astrology. Okay. The reason Simon becomes Peter is because Simon was a fisherman, okay? And which sign is the fish in the zodiac? It's Pisces, the two fish. Well, what's the ruling planet of Pisces? It's Jupiter, or Jew-Peter. That's why he becomes Peter, okay? It's just a play on names, okay? Why he was betrayed with a kiss by Judas, we went over that. Why he was dead for 3 days, we went over that. It walked sideways. Why is his birthday on December 25th? We went over that. I told you, it's all astrology, guys. And I think that's where we're going to have to cut it off.
Ooh, dude, there again, you right to the exact same minute mark as the first segment, right to the 2-minute mark. Dude, there's some psychic universal things happening right now. Brother, this is so much overload for my thought process right now. I literally have to go back and really quick, and we're going to give you the mic so you can tell everybody how they can follow you. But I remember I did some research because there were people before the time of Jesus that were all born around December 25th, born of the Virgin Mary, this, and, died and rose from the dead. There's multiple stories that are almost identical to our common day Jesus story. Yeah. So, brother, man, how can people follow your work? And listen, folks, he's coming back on. We're only on slide 49. We got a lot more to go.
Yes. So I'm on Twitter at Real Mr. Dank, spell out Mr. I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Micah Dank. I have a YouTube channel too, which is pinned on my Twitter. That I have all my work there.
Okay.
And my book series goes, if this is mind-blowing, my book series goes into all sorts of hidden knowledge and forbidden secrets and all that kind of stuff. It's called Into the Rabbit Hole. If you reach out to me on social, I do sell signed copies. If you want to support me direct instead of going through Amazon so they don't take half of everything.
That's right.
You can do that, but yeah, I just wanted to see. So what do you guys think? What are your thoughts?
Dude. It's fantastic, Mike, and I'm sorry we're going to have to cut it right there. The music's about to start. But listen, stick around after the show. We'll come right back to you. But, guys, honestly, there's a whole lot more there that you have to absorb, so you're going to have to watch it again. I'm going to watch it again, probably when I'm laying in the bed.
It's weird
tonight.
Because it makes sense in my head. It's really, but you guys know my head already, but it makes sense, and it just explains how so universally we are part of
without
that.
A doubt.
You know what I mean? Man,
Micah Dank, folks. Micah Dank, thank you for joining us.
He'll be back.
Yep. Abnormalrealities.com, odysseyradio.com. Guys, this is the last one for this week. We'll see you on Tuesday. Peace.